Domestics July release and speculation video. Now what this is going to be is covering all of the model kits we expect to be released during the month of July, as well as a little speculation about some stuff that we know is coming, but isn't necessarily coming out in the month of July. We'll do a separate video later on covering the actual news of this week, the first week of July of 2014, but we wanted to get this one out and cover everything we should be expecting for the entire month of July before the other one. Now, I've got the great big notebook of knowledge here. Now, what the notebook of knowledge is, aside from a hacky gimmick, is everything's going to come out this month. So we'll start on the domestic side of things, so that the people who think that, you know, Japanese kits are too expensive and foreign cars are evil can check out after a few minutes. But you have kits coming out this month from Round 2 as well as Revell. Starting at Round 2, they're going to be straight reissues, as they always are, because that's what Round 2 is doing for the most part. For the truck modeler, they're going to be reissuing the 1960s, 70s vintage Lowboy trailer. This has been reissued a number of times. The kit comes, at least on the box art, with giant electrical transformers. I presume they're probably still in the kit since they're on the newer box art, although we have not gotten a really good picture of it, so I can't show it to you. This will just be a straight reissue. The tires might be different. They've been using a newer tire that they came up with when they started reissuing the model trucks around 2009 or so. So the trailer tires may be those newer tires rather than the old ones. Your second kit is going to be the 1/16th scale 65 Mustang. There are a lot of known proportional issues with this kit, but it's also the only large-scale classic Mustang there is, so you sort of have to weigh which is more important to you, the accuracy of the actual body itself and trying to fix those problems, or whether or not you want a 1/16 scale Mustang. The last kit that's going to be coming out from Round 2 is under the MPC marketing, and that's going to be a straight reissue of the 70s NASCAR Pepsi Chevelle. It looks like, I believe it's a 72, 73 Chevelle. And those will have new decal sheet, and I believe there's going to be some sort of, promotional advertising kind of thing tossed in there like they like to do with these kits that are tied into actual corporations. But again, it's just a straight reissue. There's nothing, particularly new or interesting there. Looking at Revell. Now, Revell's going to have 3 kits coming out automotive-wise of interest to us, and that is going to be the Tom Daniels Cherry Bomb Show Rod. That's not a particular interest to me, but it is to some people. Straight reissue of that kit from the 60s. They're going to be reissuing the 1/24 scale Nissan pickup, the Nissan 724x4. This was last out under the Revell name, and this is originally a monogram tooling, a Snap-Tight kit from the 80s. It's about 50 pieces. It has some sort of an engine. It's not going to be anything greatly detailed, but it is 1/24 scale, not 1/25. It is an old tool, but it hasn't been out since 1993, so it's a long time between reissues. And if you're, looking for that pickup truck, you're going to be able to finally find one at reasonable prices. I took a gander at eBay before we started filming this, and there are 2 of them on eBay right now. One in the old Monogram Miller High Life box, and one in the Revell 93 box, and they're running at $60 and $80 respectively. Now, whether they'll go for that, I doubt, but just to let you know what people were charging for them or trying to charge for them. Last from Revell is the major modified reissue 57 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible. Now, this kit was supposed to come out in 2013. It is based off the new Tri-5 tooling, the stuff that, like the 55 convertible hardtop, 56 Nomad and Delray, and the 57 hardtop and 150 Black Widow kit. It is not the tooling from the Ed Roth reissue from I believe it was May, that was a reissue of the old 60s multi-piece body where everything opened, the doors, the trunk, and everything. It was supposed to come out before that Ed Roth kit so that it wouldn't compete with it and wouldn't be out at the same time. But when this kit was shown in October at the NNL in Toledo, it was found out that there was no X-brace for the chassis. Relatively simple thing. All the convertible Tri-5s had a great big piece of X iron steel welded attached to the bottom of the chassis to keep the body from flexing, because essentially you're just cutting the roof off of it. There are different doors and other bits and pieces about the convertible that are different from a Bel Air hardtop or coupe, but that was just the general principles. Now, the original 55 convertible was the first kit of the Tri-5s back in the mid-90s, but after that convertible was reissued as a pace car, the 56 Nomad came out, and the 56 Nomad had a different chassis pan, and every one of the Tri-5 tools after that has been issued off of that chassis pan that originated in the 56 Nomad. So there's no X-brace for this 57 convertible, so it had to get kicked back to China for them to tool this new piece for the chassis. The body, proportionally wise, on this kit is not correct. There are visible discrepancies when it comes to the door. The door panel on a real 57 sort of dips as it goes towards the kick-up on the rear quarter panel. And the doors on the kit, at least the tooling shot kit that we've seen built, are straight, like they just hacked the top off of the actual hardtop kit. Don't know if they fixed that, and probably will not know if they fixed that until somebody gets a early run of the kit to review for one of the magazines, or until these kits come out. All of Revell's kits will come out usually the end of the third or the beginning of the fourth week of the month, so you're looking at the end of July, for the preferred partner retailers. Now, those are the stores that carry everything that Revell offers, not just the car stuff. If your local hobby shop or your favorite eBay or online retailer is not part of the preferred program, then it's going to probably be the very beginning of August before these kits come out. Same thing for round 2. They don't have a preferred partner, but their kits tend to come out at the end of the month. We'll cover them in depth on the shows during the weeks they come out. Now, on to the foreign stuff. You want to tune out if you don't care here, but we're going to look at something from pretty much everybody other than Hasegawa. Tamiya, real quick, in July is going to be issuing a 1/12 scale Fairlady 240Z street machine. This is a modified reissue of the old 1/12 scale 240Z. It's been out, this is, I believe, a 70s, 80s tooling kit. It came out as just a regular 240Z, and then as a race car. Been a couple of reissues of it over the years. There are some new parts here to make it a 70s, 80s era street machine. It's a big scale, 1/12 scale kit. Not something that I'm into because it's just size-wise not the same as what I normally build. But it's, it's a Tamiya kit, so the quality you're going to be getting into there. ICM, you may not have heard of this company before. It is out of the Ukraine. They are primarily a military company building and offering models in 1/35th scale. But they've also recently decided that they were going to start blowing some of those 1/35th scale kits up into 1/24 scale. They've issued twice, reissued once if you want to consider it, but they issued a Mercedes-Benz Type 4, sort of a troop hauler, sort of a 6x6 half-track type of vehicle that was used by German military officers in World War II. And the kit actually is from like the 30s, so prior to the actual war, used by Nazi officials and that type of thing. And then they issued a convertible Opel Cadet, or Opel Admiral, excuse me, that came in a cabriolet format, and then it was issued with an up-top. The Type 4 was also issued, again, with an up-top. Now, in July, allegedly, we don't have firm dates on these things, but pre-orders were available from HobbyLink Japan and Hobby Surge. They're going to be issuing the Opel Admiral as a saloon with a hard steel roof on it. This will make a great street rod. I have the cabriolet, and it's kind of an interesting kit. It's multi-piece body, so it's not going to be like picking a body up out of a box and just putting the hood on it and painting it. You're going to have to put this body all together. It's kind of old school tooling, but the tooling looks good, and there are a number of companies, Aoshima and other companies, that use multi-part bodies for various kits, and they all fit together just fine. Hasegawa, Revell of Germany, with their Volkswagen Samba bus, and then the reissue of the what we call the Jagerwagen, the T1 cargo van that has the Jägermeister decals on it. Those are all multi-piece body kits, and they all seem to go together just fine from the builds that you see of them. You don't know how much fighting those builders did to get them all together, but that being neither here nor there, the saloon is going to be coming out supposedly in July. That'll make a great street rod thing. Take that straight 6 Chevy out of it, because an Opel is just a GM product. Take that straight 6 Chevy out of it, use it for something else, stick maybe an LS, the motor out of a ZR1 or a 2010 Camaro, and stick that in there, make a street rod out of it. The other thing that they're going to be doing, this is going to be a completely separate new line of 124 scale kits. They're starting at a 1912 Model T Roadster. I guess when you're starting at the very beginning of Ford at that point. There is actually going to be an older Model T coming out. I believe it's a 1908 Model T that's going to be the second version of that tooling. So if you're into, classic with a big C American cars, ICM's going to have something for you to look at here come July, August, September. Everything with ICM is sort of, in flux, the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. If you watch any bit of news, you know what's going on over there. So it'll be interesting to see if they can make the release date on it. BMAX, which is a company out of Macau, an island off the coast of China, which used to be administratively run by Portugal, the way Hong Kong was run by the British until 1999, is working in concert with Aoshima to bring out a World Touring Car Championship Chevrolet Cruze. Those things don't seem to go together. Chevrolet Cruze race car. I understand that, but for the last 3 years in its division, the Chevrolet Cruze has been the championship car. The first one of these is going to be like a 2012, easy for me to say, championship ride. And then I don't know if they're going to include decals for the other cars, or if there's going to be separate issues for the other 2 kits, because they've shown 3 of them, all from the Team Cruze stables, because GM didn't support the team in 2013, and they still independently went on to win the World Touring Car Championship in their class. This kit was supposed to come out again in July, but there has been no ability to pre-order this kit, so it's probably looking like August or September for it. From Academy, a company out of South Korea that is an award-winning military maker, but has made relatively few cars, and the few cars that they have made have sort of been unbranded. There's like European Supercar, which is a Ferrari F40 with no Ferrari logos on it, a European Classic convertible, which is like a Ferrari, I believe it's a 250, it's an Italian tool that they've leased and run, that again has no Ferrari logos on it whatsoever. Several of their other 124 scale kits are like there's a BMW with no BMW logos, a Porsche with no Porsche logos. The only thing they've ever issued kit-wise that has an actual company name on it are Hyundais. They've issued 3 Hyundais going back into like the 80s. This is going to be a brand new tool of the Hyundai Azera. If you looked online, you might have seen the Hyundai Grandeur pop up on a couple message boards and on eBay. That's the South Korean domestic market version of that car. Once it's exported outside of South Korea, it becomes the Azera. The South Koreans drive on the correct side of the road, drive on the U.S. side, everything's left-hand drive, so there wasn't a lot of changing to do. It's mostly all decals. And so now this kit's going to come out supposedly at the end of the month. Pre-orders are available. Actually, sold out pre-orders everywhere. But they're expecting it either the very end of July, the very beginning of August. It is what they're calling multicolor parts, which means all of the things are molded in color. Chassis is one color, interior is another color, body's a different color, and it's also a quasi-snap-tight kit. It's not pre-decorated in the sense of being pre-painted, but it's just molded in color. So I believe it's molded in black, so be aware of that. If you plan to paint it a lighter color, you'll have to deal with getting the lighter color over that black without it bleeding through. But it's a really neat sort of, it's $20, $23, give or take there, so it's not a real expensive kit. It's probably looks like 60 pieces. It's online with a Fujimi tooled cheap-end kit. It's curbside, no engine detail or anything like that. But it's sort of a neat shelf model, and for a certain group of people, it's going to cause a ruckus because it's a scale Hyundai model kit, and it's not another Willys Gasser or something like that. From Fujimi, right now, we're really looking at one more spot run, because several of the ones I had to talk about have come out this week, and we'll talk about those in the other video, and that is what they're calling the Old Mini. It is the old body style Mini, but it's done by Rover. A lot of people don't realize the Mini Cooper didn't cease to exist in the 80s. It ran in that old sort of tiny car body style well into the late 80s and early 90s. This Old Mini is the Rover Motor Company version that could be built either as a 25th anniversary or as a Mini Mayfair, which was a limited, I believe, 2,500 car run in 1988. So to give you an idea of like how new this old style Mini is. It's a straight reissue. We'll call Spot Run, for future reference, is just a straight reissue out of Japan. They spot run 2, 3, 4, 5,000 kits for global distribution, and then the tooling goes away, like into the Disney Vault for 10 years. This kit hasn't been out for probably 4 or 5 years. It's kind of neat for the mini collector who builds a lot of, has like the Revell of Germany and the Tamiya Mini Coopers, the Rally versions, and all those things. Not a lot of people seem to realize that there was a Rover version of the Mini Cooper, so, it's a neat little thing there. It's curbside, minimal Fujimi details, like a $14 kit. And then we have two, I don't know how new these tools are. They're going to be significantly modified if they're based off of the street kit, but Fujimi's going to be doing two McLaren F1 GTR short tails. Because the other kits they've already done are the long tail kits that had the extended body, aerodynamic body from 1997. These are some older F1 McLarens. Now Fujimi did a street version of the F1, and I don't know if these kits are basically that kit with racing parts added to it and modified, or it's a completely new tooling modified, or they took the long tail and modified it backwards into the short tail. The kits were scheduled originally for like a July release, but they have no release date. None of the Fujimi stuff this month has release dates on it for some reason. So I don't know if it's actually going to make the end of the month or it's going to slide into August or where it's at. One other Fujimi kit, while we're thinking about it, is they have an old Mishua tooling. This is a long-defunct Japanese model kit company. They made a 1/24th scale, which is very different from most Japanese model companies because they did 1/32nd scale trucks, space being a concern in Japan. Everybody sort of crammed into apartments and stuff like that, not a lot of single-family housing like we have here in the States, so their trucks are smaller. This is a 1/24 scale kit. Full engine detail, full suspension, everything. It was motorized because everything was motorized back in the 80s in Japan for some reason. It'll be interesting to see if Fujimi takes out all of those motorized components and sort of fixes the kit, or it's just going to be reissued the way the tooling is. There's a lot of options with that kit if they have all of the tooling. It was originally issued just as the tractor, then as a dump truck, and then as the car hauler, because there's a tractor trailer at that point. And then the tractor and the dump truck were reissued under the Japanese show truck theme, where everything has acres of chrome, big spoilers, big goofy graphics, and chicken lights everywhere. I don't know if they have every single piece of this tooling from that Mitsubishi Fuso line, or if they just have the tractor and the trailer for the car hauler. Either way, it's a great deal for those of us who build a lot of JDM kits, because this will look fantastic with a lot of, say, 70s, 80s JDM cars on it, because the tooling for this kit hasn't been reissued since the late 1980s. If you look on eBay right now, these kits are selling for, and I'm not saying listed for, I'm saying selling for $150 for the trailer and $300 for the entire kit. The reissue is going to be $71, minus shipping it from Japan. What it'll be here in the States, if they actually export it, probably be $3 bills at that point, but that's why you buy direct from Japan. So it's, for those people who want a 1/24 scale 1980s Japanese car hauler who didn't want to pay $300 for it, here's your chance to get it for 1/3 of the price, basically. That leaves us with Aoshima. Aoshima did a series of spot runs for the month of July. Several of them have come out, so we're going to look real quick at this list and see what hasn't come out yet. The Sea West Evo 10 racing version. There was a street version, a racing version. They're going to be spot running the racing version. They're going to be spot running the Enki version of the Rocket Bunny Toyota 86 kit, which, if you have not, are not paying attention, that is the red kit. The red one. The other one is the Volk Racing Wheel kit. So the red one's being spot run again because, again, we've run out of stock of the Rocket Bunny. Those kits have really sold for Aoshima ridiculously well. I don't think they ever expected them to sell quite as well as they did. Yeah, they were a limited run. The one I have is one of the first runs of it. It has photo etch winglets for the back wing that were done in like the first 2,500 kits. And those first 2,500 kits sold out in pre-order. Worldwide pre-order gone. When they came into stock, if you didn't have one on pre-order, you didn't get one until January, because they were so far behind realizing what the demand would be for these kits. I think they thought they'd be mostly Japanese kits as far as their sales would go, but a lot of us here in the States got the earlier 86 and BRZ Scion FRS kits, really like them, like the Rocket Bunny body kit that they've added to it, and pounced on it like there was no tomorrow. And they ran out of the first 4 or 5 stampings of the kit. They may have sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 of these kits between the Rocket Bunny and the BRZ and the FRS 86 kits, along with the original FRS and 86 kits that were curbside, and the Subaru WRX concept vehicle. And now they're going to be doing pre-painted versions of these kits in August. We'll talk about those on a different video. Just really, I don't even think the cars are that popular here in the United States on the streets as they are in modeling. Seems like everybody has at least one, if not 10 of them. Let's see, what else is on this list? Aoshima will be doing their first racing version with decals of the McLaren F1 GTR Longtail kit. Now, the first kit they did came out in, I think, the end of March. It was a preseason testing presentation version. This one is going to be the number 44 Lark sponsored kit from the 1997 Le Mans. There are not going to be Lark decals involved in this kit because Lark is a tobacco company, and because tobacco is evil and might affect our children, we're not allowed to have those decals. So you're going to have to go Shunko or Studio 27 if you want the actual full decal sheet for this. Kind of sucks. Those decals are going to be like another $20-$30 on top of a $30-$40 model kit, but PC is PC, I guess. What can you say? The other racing kit that's going to come out in July from Aoshima is a number 25 Blancpain. That is a watch company. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it right. Maybe not. Who knows? Of the Lamborghini RSV GT1 Spa kit. This is the number 25 kit. They issued this kit towards the end of May as a Geneva Auto Show presentation version that had minimal decals. This is an official kit. It has Ryder Engineering backing to it. They got to see the cars up close and personal, so the decals being done by Cartograph, so everything should be really spot on with this. There's going to be another one, but they haven't officially announced what it is yet, so we'll leave that be. Let's see, what else? Liberty Walk. The Liberty Walk kits, we covered those in June. They're going to be doing a Ken and Mary Skyline, which if you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's a C110 generation Skyline, a 2014. It's a new thing the Liberty Walk just came up with on a real 1-1 car. They're doing a kit of. They're also going to be reissuing the Cedric, the 430 Cedric, as a Tokyo Taxi. In May, they did a police car version of it. These are the new tooled, or semi-new tooled, Cedric and Gloria 430 standard and GLE kits that came out last year. These are not the old vintage Car GT motorized chassis. I'm looking here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else because we want to cover every single thing we possibly can in the time allotted. And, the last thing, they're going to be doing another spot run of another Initial D Truno Toyota AE86, and that's going to be the Volume 1 kit. That is from the comic book of Initial D. It is a kit with an engine, or at least the top half of an engine, but it is a stock Truno Corolla here in the United States. So it doesn't have all of the exposed timing covers and the different intake. This is pretty much a straight stock Truno Corolla kit. So if you're into the 86s and you want a older version of the Truno 86, this is probably the easiest way to get one because the street car versions haven't been reissued in forever and a day, and I don't necessarily know that they will reissue them because they keep reissuing the Initial D kits, which are those kits just with sort of a different graphical box art and some decals that are not street decals. And that, I guess, guys, is about it for July. That's a lot of stuff to cover and a lot of kits to buy if you're into those kits. We'll be covering each of them individually. Well, not individually, but in more in-depth week to week as they're released. We'll do a speculation early release video pretty much every month around the beginning of the month, end of July, beginning of August. Look for an August speculation once we know more of what's going to be coming out in that month. So we hope you enjoyed it. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, rate the videos, comment in the sections. If you have questions, we'll try to answer them in future videos, and we'll see you on the other side.